A handsome young man has nowhere to sleep, so his friend lets him sleep at her house. While in the couch, he suddenly gets turned on, so he removes his clothes. He sneaks inside his friend's room and tries to sleep beside her. She refuses at first, but when she gets charmed by his looks, she gets in the bed with him and makes out with him. These are some of the many relationships the protagonist Nicky has. He narrates how handsome he is and how much charm he possesses. He even mentions that his mother's best friend told him he would be a heartbreaker and subsequently slept with him. A narcissistic, young, dumb, and broke man who works as an escort with no goals, he takes advantage of his undeniable charm to extract money from wealthy women, boasting about everything he can do that other men can't, leading a playboy lifestyle. Later that night, he goes to a club to hook up with women. In the club, he encounters many women who recognize him, women he has slept with before. While walking, he comes across a woman named Samantha who wears expensive clothes. He targets her and asks her on a dinner date. Initially, Samantha rejects his advances, but later succumbs to Nicky's irresistible charms. They go straight to Samantha's house afterward and make love all night. The next morning, Samantha goes to work, leaving Nicky behind, who pretends to be asleep. When Samantha leaves, he orders breakfast and lounges around Samantha's house. He plots to cling to Samantha like a parasite, so he cooks dinner for her when she arrives. After dinner, the two make love again right away, wasting no time. The next morning, they continue to passionately make love. Afterwards, they go to the mall to buy designer clothes for Nicky. At every opportunity and every available spot, the two make love. One day, Samantha tells Nicky that she will be staying in New York for a few days. She asks Nicky if he'd like to come with her. However, Nicky tells her that he can't and makes up excuses. Later that day, Nicky brings Samantha to the airport and bids her farewell. That evening, Nicky holds a party in Samantha's house and meets his friend Harry, who recently missed his chance with Helen. Speaking of the devil, Helen comes by and flirts. Later on, a woman approaches Nicky and flirts with him. Nicky goes with her to a room with a bed and starts to make love. The next day, Samantha calls Nicky to check on him. Nicky responds casually, but his attitude towards Samantha is a bit arrogant. After the call, a woman named Emily visits him in Samantha's house. She is one of Nicky's casual lovers, and later that evening, they make love. Afterwards, Nicky brings her back home. Nicky takes advantage of Samantha's possession and takes her for granted. He enjoys the pleasure of the time that Samantha is absent. One night, while Nicky is watching TV, a woman gives him a mouth service. Little did he know, Samantha returns ahead of schedule. She goes upstairs and catches Nicky cheating on her in the act. She confronts Nicky about his attitude and actions. Nicky clears things between them and Samantha plays along. Despite what he has done, they resolve the incident by making love as if nothing happened. The days pass and the two continue in their casual relationship, remaining friends while benefiting from each other. One day, Nicky eats at a local diner and meets Heather, a young beautiful woman. He gets attracted to her at first sight and asks for her number. Unfortunately, she rejects him brutally. To get back at her, he does not pay for his order and puts his address in the bill. Heather gets angry and confronts him. When he gets home, Samantha tries to make love with him, but Nicky makes it obvious that he is not in the mood. The next day, Nicky tells Harry about Heather and the two go to the diner where she works. Nicky tries to impress her by pretending to be a businessman, but she ignores him. Eventually, Heather sees his persistence, so Nicky manages to get her number. He returns to Samantha's house and the two make love. However, it's very obvious that Nicky is thinking about another woman. The following day, Nicky receives a call from Heather. She invites him to a dinner in a local restaurant. Nicky in excitement arrives on time, but Heather arrives late. Nicky gets annoyed of her because she arrived so late. However, the two continues to go on a date because Nicky likes her very much. The two talks about their lives and Nicky tries to impress her. A sudden call reaches Heather and she immediately bids farewell to Nicky and disrespectfully leaves. Nicky is shocked and is challenged as well because that is the first time a woman left him hanging. The next day, Samantha asks Nicky if he is sleeping with other girls. Nicky tells her that he is not, but she does not believe his words anymore. Later on, he goes to the local diner again to look for Heather, but it appears that she does not work there anymore. He returns back home, thinking that he will never meet Heather again. While he is eating, Heather comes to Samantha's house, thinking that it's Nicky's. As she seductively swims around, Nicky gets tempted and after sleeps with her. The following morning, Nicky volunteers to move her car while she sleeps. When he enters the car, he sees 2 tobacco packs and realizes they belong to a rich man. He immediately goes to Heather and kicks her out of the house. Later on, she comes to pick Samantha up from the hospital after a surgery to enhance her private part. Instead of taking care of her, Nicky parties all night with other girls. When he returns home, the upset Samantha confronts him and throws his things at him. He also receives 2 powerful slaps in the face. In anger, she throws his cell phone into the swimming pool, breaking Nicky's spirit. He gets kicked out of the house and has no place to sleep. He goes to several people he knows, but they straightforwardly reject him. He goes to his friend Harry, but he is not at his house. He then goes to a strip club where Harry always goes and tries to talk with him. While inside, Harry's friend toys with one of the girls, causing Nicky to punch him in the face. Harry confronts him outside about what he did, and Nicky reasons with him. He tells Harry that it's not appropriate to say and do those things to a woman. Harry turns things around by returning the blame to him, telling Nicky that he is not in a position to correct them after all he has done to women. The next day, Harry throws all of Nicky's things outside of his room and abandons him. In desperation, Nicky tries to ask for help from his mother, but she ignores him. Nicky becomes emotional because he is on the edge, broke with nowhere to sleep. Instead of finding ways to earn money, he goes back to targeting rich older women to squeeze money from. When he is about to take action with one woman, he sees Heather unwinding in the same resort. Feeling embarrassed, he goes to the pool to swim. She follows him and asks what happened. Nicky apologizes to her and confesses that they are just the same. Squeezing money from the rich, Heather understands him and decides to take him home. While chatting, Heather's new sugar daddy calls her to meet up. She immediately gets dressed up and leaves. After she returns home, the two decide to go to a party to hook up new victims. They dance together and have fun at the party. A rich man approaches Heather and talks to her about something. After the party, Heather offers Nicky the couch where he could sleep and goes back to her bed. Nicky takes the chance, removes his clothes, and sneaks into Heather's room, who refuses to sleep with him at first. Eventually, Nicky convinces her and the two sleep together. Shortly after, they get tempted by each other's charm and make love. The next night, they go to a fancy restaurant and have dinner together. During their date, a woman approaches Nicky, whom he doesn't remember. Their bill is expensive, so the two pretend that there is a problem with the food and leave. Days pass and the two grow closer to one another. They spend most of their days together and live like husband and wife. Whenever Heather goes on a date with another man, Nicky feels jealousy. Day by day, it grows until he realizes that he has fallen in love with Heather. One morning, Nicky sees Heather looking afar. He approaches her and asks what is wrong. She confesses that her sugar daddy proposed to her. Nicky gets upset because she didn't tell him about it. He gets stopped when Heather tells him that she accepted because they need money. She adds that she does not love him and tells him that she is in love with Nicky. However, Nicky still gets frustrated because she did not tell him, so he goes out to get some fresh air. When he returns to Heather's house, she is nowhere to be found, and a letter says that she decided to go to New York, where the rich man is. He tries to contact Heather multiple times, but she does not answer. While shopping, a woman Nicky has been with comes across him. He is lonely for several days, so he decides to hook up with her. The woman experiences nausea, so she vomits outside the car. Heather calls, and the two get intimate as they express their love for each other. However, Heather's mood changes when she hears a woman's voice. She gets angry, so she hangs up. Nicky gets frustrated, so he lashes out to the woman. The woman gets upset with him as well, so she leaves him on the road. When he returns home, he meets Eva, Heather's roommate, and asks her about Heather's whereabouts. She does not know where Heather is, so the two discuss the possibilities, and Nicky also asks for advice from her. While talking, Nicky notices a package containing the sender's address. He realizes that this is the address of Heather's sugar daddy, located in New York. The next day, he goes to Harry's house and makes up with him. Afterward, Harry and Eva drop him off at the airport. Determined, he goes inside the airport and travels by plane to New York. When he arrives, he goes straight to Heather's location to meet her. He knocks on her door and she lets him in. Nicky tries to convince her to come back to him so they can start fresh. However, Heather slaps him with the reality that settling down with a person is not just about love. She tells him that she is afraid to rely on her future with him. Nicky musters his courage and proposes to Heather, saying that he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. However, Nicky freezes when he hears from Heather's mouth that she is already married. Shortly after, Heather's husband arrives, leaving Nicky devastated and broken. She tells her husband that Nicky is a grocery boy, and the man thanks him and gives him a tip. Nicky returns to his city lonely. Because of these experiences, Nicky snaps back to reality and realizes many things. He throws away his old ways and begins working. While in his job, he crosses paths with Samantha, who has a new man. She bids him farewell and wishes him good luck on his journey. The young, dumb, and broke Nicky learns the reality of life the hard way. He is humbled by life and strives to become a better person. He realizes that a true man is not defined by his charm or looks, but by his commitment to what he loves and does.